Rent a riverside courtyard for $50 per month in Jiangcheng. I thought I had picked up feces. So I paid 3 years rent in one breath. However, I only found out on the day after moving. My ex-girlfriends also live here. The first love school flower lives on the left. The person living on the right is a university party member. The senior gangster lives downstairs. The one living upstairs is the movie queen. That's it. I am surrounded by my ex-girlfriend. Jiangcheng looked at the small courtyard by the river in front of her. That building is truly luxurious and grand. There is even lawn greening in the yard. Is your brother's house really worth $50 a month? Yeah, I found a cheap emoji on my face. Is it worth it? I paid 3 years rent in one go. All the salary from teaching support has been used up. Yu Ming, the riverside courtyard you rented. I estimate that Jiangcheng will be turned upside down. I can't even find a second one. How did all the good things happen to you? Who made me look handsome? I came upstairs. At first glance, it's super spacious. A balcony like a small courtyard. And at this moment, next door neighbor, a beautiful woman is lying on a chair, looking at a fashion magazine in the shade of the balcony, wearing a pair of super shorts, exposed jade legs, and the jade feet without shoes on. I looked at it almost simultaneously with almost two of us. Good leg, no. How can I have a familiar feeling? I looked at those jade feet and legs. Stunted on the spot, a familiar feeling inexplicably arises in my heart. Why does this beauty look like her first love? At this moment, Shen Yuchu was lying on the chair reading a magazine. I also noticed their gaze. Put down the magazine, turn your head and look at the two of them. Then a sudden flash of gold flashed through my pupils. This beautiful woman in front of me is really her first love girlfriend. She was also the school flower Shen Yuchu when she was in college. Long time no see. Shen Yuchu, I squeezed out a bitter smile. I said hello. Shen Yuchu lying on the chair. He also had a shocked expression on his face. I was stunned for several seconds before using it to the extreme. I asked in a surprised tone, do you also live here? What does resonance mean? Is it possible that she also lives in the border courtyard? I remember the day I saw the house. The landlord told her that there is a beautiful woman living next door. Could it be that the beautiful woman mentioned by the landlord is her? Although Shen Yuchu can indeed be called a beauty. No, I should say she's a fairy-level beauty. As soon as I entered the school, I became the flower of Jiangcheng University. That looks, figure, and temperament are all impeccable. I stabilized my emotions. Then he picked up his suitcase and walked into my room. The first thing I did afterwards was to close the door backwards. I closed the door. I sat on the sofa with a serious expression on my face. After much contemplation, that's when I made up my mind. As long as I am not embarrassed. The awkward thing is him. Well said. Jiangcheng stood up and smiled at the words, Dao Ming Zhe. I have something else to do. Let's go first, I'll treat you to supper tonight. After saying these words, he walked out of the room and left the courtyard. Driving downstairs, I stepped on the gas pedal and slipped away. It's really unreliable. Then I started tidying up my room. Of course, there's really nothing to tidy up, because it looks like a new outfit, except for a little dust. There are almost no traces of living here. In Lamine, I thought it was the unscrupulous landlord who arranged the string houses. That day when I was looking at the house, I even used a formaldehyde analyzer to test it. The results show that this house is completely fine. Even many pieces of furniture are still branded. So I also have to grit my teeth and endure, because this house is really amazing. Of course, it also depends on which ex-girlfriend it is. If it's that crazy movie queen, I estimate that I am already sitting on the Jiangcheng car at this moment. Run away with him. That lunatic heard that he went abroad to make movies recently. Jiangcheng should still be safe now. I have been teaching as a volunteer teacher for the past few years. I also often follow that crazy person on my phone. I learned that he received an invitation to go abroad to make a movie. Only then did I finally muster the courage. Return to Jiangcheng. If we want to rate his 4 ex-girlfriends, that lunatic is definitely S+. I don't want those anymore. I didn't have a choice before. Now I want to be a good person. After tidying up the house, this time back to Jiangcheng, I plan to find a job as a basketball coach. No need to teach children how to play basketball. Earn some living expenses. Just let me live in Jiangcheng. After all, I grew up in an orphanage since I was young. There are no relatives around, so there's no pressure to support parents either. A person naturally prioritizes relaxation. Put away your luggage. I sat on the sofa and lay leisurely. Open your arms and look at his brand new home. My heart is filled with longing for the future. And just then, there is a warning sound coming from the 20 battery level in my hand. Then I took out the charger and plugged it into my phone. But the screen shows that it is not charging. I was taken aback and pulled it out again to try again. The result is that the phone still cannot charge. So I pulled out the charger again, plugged into another socket, still can't do it. What's going on? There's a power outage. I swung up vigorously. I tried the light switch in the room. I found out that there really isn't any electricity at home. Stuck a few times. I naturally thought of my neighbor Shen Yuchu, just asking why there's no power. Are you okay too? And back then, Shen Yuchu and I also broke up peacefully. It's not a big problem. I am doing some psychological construction inside the house. I arrived early on the balcony. Shen Yuchu is still lying on the chair reading magazines. That leg looks really nice. Now think about it. Breaking up is quite a pity. But even if we start over, let me choose again. I will still break up with Shen Yuchu. My relationship with Shen Yuchu was very good back then. I also thought we could move from campus to society together, becoming husband and wife. Will it ultimately be defeated by reality? Shen Yuki's parents accidentally discovered that he was dating. Later, Shen Yuchu and his parents confessed to me. After learning that I am an orphan, they asked me to marry into their family. The children born also have the surname Shen Yuchu. At the time of marriage, we also need to find 2 strangers to play his parents. I didn't agree. Shen Yuchu is reluctant to break up with me. You're so foolish that you said you want to have a baby for me. As long as my belly gets bigger. I am pregnant. Maybe my parents will regress. I remember it rained heavily that night. I also watched the heavy rain all night. After dawn, I ultimately broke up with Shen Yuchu. Shen Yuchu, why is there no power here? Shen Yuchu, put down the magazine. Take a glance at me and, at least come tonight. Shen Yuchu turned his head and looked at the sunny platform not far away. Following Shen Yuki's gaze, I just realized, the road not far from the courtyard is under construction. Then your house doesn't have electricity either. There's no electricity in this area. Shen Yuchu, put down the magazine. Start singing. Do you want to have dinner across the street together? Find a partner. 2 more dishes would also be fine. I've thought about it. Consider it as having a casual meal with your neighbors. Entering the restaurant, Shen Yuchu said to the landlady at the front desk at the entrance. I want a minced eggplant. A braised beef brisket, no cilantro added. After the landlady wrote the dishes on the menu. Look at me behind Shen Yuchu. Teasing Xiao Chu. Is this your boyfriend? The past tense has passed. Shen Yuchu turned around and glanced. Oh, sit down. The boss wife was stunned for a few seconds. There was a smile on his face that was seen through but not revealed. It is said that couples cannot become friends after breaking up. If we break up, we can still be friends. That means there are still lingering emotions. Entering a restaurant, the 2 sat facing each other at a dining table. The dishes will be served soon. Let's eat. Then he voluntarily handed me a pear. Skilled in movements, just like an old couple. I was in a daze for a few seconds. It's like finding the feeling of dating together from before. If I really want to spend my whole life with someone. So it must be my first love, Shen Yuchu. It's just that we used to. They eventually got separated. What are you thinking? It's nothing. I made a perfunctory remark. Then he took the chopsticks and started eating the food. Braised beef brisket with cilantro is his favorite. 5 years have passed. Do you still remember Shen Yuchu? It's just that everything has already passed. I silently eat, and Shen Yuchu is really like what was just said. Just looking for a simple meal companion. You didn't chat with me during the meal. The 2 of them finished their lunch. Step out of the stir-fry restaurant. I'll add you on WhatsApp. Let me transfer the meal money to you. I already said I'll treat you to dinner. There is no such thing as a free lunch in the world. I smiled. Then take out your phone and scan the code. Added Shen Yuki's WhatsApp. When I first escaped from Jiangcheng, afraid of the batch that contacted my ex-girlfriend, so as to find my whereabouts and address. So I deleted all my friends. Over a year has passed. I only dare to add my good friend back soon. Scan the code and add friends. I immediately transferred the money to Shen Yuchu. Go upstairs and return to your respective rooms. During this period, neither of them said a word. This state is like a familiar stranger. Even the first thing the 2 of them do after returning to the room. They all coincidentally close the door. After I returned to the bedroom, unexpectedly, he stumbled upon the window. Stick your head out and look to the left. I happened to see Shen Yuki's head sticking out of the window. Look to the right. The 2 of them tilted their heads through the window. Sight. We met unexpectedly on both sides. Less than a second later, Shen Yuchu is out of sight. I quickly pretended to glance downstairs again. I immediately tucked my head into the window. Then the whole person looked flustered. Background against the wall. A look full of stealing sensation. I am going to die. Did he see me just now? Shen Yuchu gritted his teeth tightly. It seems like he did something that embarrassed him. The matter of throwing it at grandma's house. With a face full of regret. What should I do? He wouldn't think I secretly like him, would he? How could I possibly like that guy a second time? I am not the little girl I was back then. After giving himself some comfort in his heart, Shen Yuchu. Emotions have become much more stable. And I appeared calm and composed. After all, compared to that movie queen, Shen Yuchu is quite normal. A year and a half of dating Shen Yuchu. I remember the most angry time he was. Just haven't spoken to me for half a day. Later, I coaxed it with a pack of strawberry-flavored gummies. Now think about it, that's really soothing. After lying in bed, I just took a nap. It's past 4 p.m. this afternoon. I just woke up slowly. After waking up, I did some exercise for a while. I practiced 100 push-ups lightly. After practicing, I watched her chiseled abdominal muscles like a knife. I still feel that there is a reward for the effort put in. Took a cold shower. I sat in the living room and started playing with my phone. Painted the beauty on TikTok for a while. I feel that the quality is really uneven. And there are also many special effects. Beautiful legs or first love girlfriend's legs look better. So I opened WhatsApp. I clicked into Shen Yuka's social circle. Want to see what's there? I clicked on my friend's circle. Still like before. There are no body photos on Shen Yuka's social media. I let out a soft sigh. Open your phone. I am about to schedule dinner. The latter sent me many emojis. All of them are shock and panic emojis. What kind of airplane? Ming She. I just discovered something very unusual. Get excited over a little thing. It's already 24. Can you learn from me? Be more stable and mature in the face of challenges. It's your business. I was instantly stunned. You come out first. I have already driven to your downstairs. Classical Chinese. As soon as I put on my shoes, I went out. Come downstairs. I got in Jiangcheng's car. Looking at Jiangcheng with a puzzled expression. What's going on? Our university counselor Su Qingyue. Do you remember? Of course I remember. I nodded and asked. What's his matter? That's not just my counselor. It's still me personally. The enlightenment teacher. It is the gentle hometown that I yearned for. He seems to live here too. Jiangcheng took out her phone. Click on Su Qingyue's moments. Take the phone. I saw a photo taken by Su Qingyue. A pot of cactus placed on the balcony. Then I looked my head out from the passenger seat. Looking up at the balcony of the neighbor on the right side of the second floor. A bowl of cactus, just like the photo, is placed there. Lying in a ditch. Awesome. Jiangcheng asked with a gloating smile on her face. Auntie, you can still laugh. I looked at Jiangcheng. That expression of watching the excitement without considering the big deal. Believe it or not, I am reporting you. Xie Xiaohei removed the article. Don't, General. Immediately surrender. Sorry, I didn't reply. A dull expression on his face. I can still handle a first love ex-girlfriend. My 2 ex-girlfriends made me nod in agreement. Although Su Qingyue's risk factor is not high. But one on the left. One on the right. I am caught in the middle. This move is not good. Contemplate for a moment. I opened the passenger door. I got off the car and looked at a barbecue restaurant. I suddenly feel like having barbecue. Lao Zhang, let's go have barbecue. Speaking, the first artist walked across the street. Jiangcheng was stunned. I also quickly got off the car. Then he quickly followed in my footsteps. The 2 of them arrived at the barbecue restaurant together. Ning, it'll treat you tonight. You opened your belly and ate. I smiled. Then it'll have to beat you up. Saying various meat skewers and taking them to the basket. I took over 20 strings. Arriving at a table at the entrance of the store. After sitting down, Jiangcheng had a painful expression on her face. A barbecue meal. I am bankrupt. Break a piece of yarn. I pried open a bottle of beer. I took a few sips. If you spend money on those women, didn't you feel sorry? What do you know? Jiangcheng's face has its own reasons. Dad who loves gambling. Sick mom. My younger brother who goes to school. Broken him. I am supporting the national poverty alleviation work. Provide assistance to the impoverished little sister. Am I wrong? You still keep this catchy rhyme. Tell the police uncle. I smiled and said, now let's raise our glasses. Jiangcheng raised her glass of wine. You touched me. Then he took a gulp and drank the whole cup. At this moment, the waiter also brought up the grilled skewers. The 2 of them began to chatter. Dazzling and satisfying. Of course, when it comes to drinking, the topic definitely cannot be separated from beautiful women. For example, at this moment, I am sitting on a backrest chair, holding a string of roasted chives in my hand. Look at a beautiful woman walking towards the distance. With lewd eyes, he whispered to Ming Zhe in a low voice. Look, there's a beautiful woman over there. Can you guess how big his bear is? I followed Jiangcheng's gaze and looked. A beautiful woman about 170 meters tall. A black hip-hugging skirt on the lower body. Wearing a white workwear shirt. Walking towards us with long legs. So cruel that I glanced at it. Smiling, Dao Jiangcheng. Feeling Jiangcheng's gaze fixed on the beautiful woman walking by. When I was about to speak up and express my guess, the gaze shifted from the beauty's chest to her face. Then the pupil trembled. Lower your voice and say, Ming Zhe. That seems to be our guide Su Qingyue. I beg your pardon? I just tilted my head and took a sip of beer. Upon hearing these words, I immediately choked and vomited. When I catch my breath and look up again, they have already walked up to our desk. I see clearly now. The beauty mentioned by the general. It's our university counselor Su Qingyue. The name is so clever. Su Qingyue looked at me. The tone is devoid of any emotion. At this moment, Su Qingyue is standing in front of our table. Look up along your legs. Create a sense of looking up from a high vantage point, especially the latter's big eyes. With an indescribable pressure from superiors. I gave a bitter smile. That's really fast. I thought they would meet again in the courtyard. That way, I can go back to the house immediately. As a result, even if you eat barbecue, you can meet Su Qingyue. Where should I hide now? What a coincidence, Teacher Su. I replied with a smile. Su Qingyue didn't reply, but instead, he directly pulled off the bench in front of the table. sitting next to me. Would you mind setting up a table together? I don't mind if he asks that. You've already sat down. What else can I say? And I said that. Jiangcheng stood up slowly and said. Jiangcheng suddenly remembered. I haven't written my novel yet today. Breaking up is a taboo for novelists. I'll go back and write a novel first. Teacher Sue, you two eat slowly. After saying this, Jiangcheng applied oil directly to her feet and ran away. And I continued to sit silently. After all, we have now become neighbors. Since we can't avoid it, it's better to face it calmly. Where have you been these 3 years? I went to the mountain village to teach as a volunteer. A hint of surprise flashed across Su Qingyu's face as a volunteer teacher. You will still go to volunteer teaching. Speaking of which, Su Qingyue raised her beer and filled it up for herself. Gollum drank the whole cup again. Speak again. The tone adds a hint of melancholy. So that's why you deleted me. Didn't we agree when we broke up? Let's break up peacefully and become friends. But you silently deleted me. Su Qingyue looked up at me. A little more red moon on the face. I have my own reasons. What's the reason? Su Qingyue continued to ask. I didn't reply. Continue eating barbecue. I can't be a crazy ex-girlfriend. Let's set fire to her. And Su Qingyue didn't ask me again. I just keep drinking with my head down. I drank 2 or 3 bottles in just a few minutes. Then he lay drunk on the table, muttering to himself, Dao Ji Yu Ming. You said we could still be friends after breaking up. As a result, you directly deleted almost everything. 3 years without contact. 3 years. Do you know how Jiangcheng has spent these 3 years? I heard Su Qingyu's accusation of being half drunk and half awake. I didn't know what to say for a moment. At that time, the situation was urgent. I can't tell her either. Teacher Su, are you drunk? Let me help you back, Jing. Don't touch me, scumbag. As he spoke, he gently pushed away my hand. I gave a bitter smile. I had to sit aside and continue eating the remaining barbecue. After a while, Su Qingyue came over drunk again and said, Mingming, can you help me back? I have nothing to say. I think women are really fickle. After finishing the grilled skewers, I think it looks like something to drink. Su Qingyue lying on the chair has to say, a girl dressed like this walking at night is very dangerous. Especially when drunk. Although Su Qingyue is no longer a girl nowadays. To be precise, she should be referred to as a young woman. But Su Qingyu's mature and charming face. But more lethal than many young girls. Especially Su Qingyue, who has a broad mind. It made a group of men want to throw themselves into her arms even more. If we encounter someone with malicious intentions, Teacher Su has gone home. At the same time, one hand pulled up Su Qingyu's arm. Help her up from the chair with difficulty. Then Su Qingyue leaned towards her completely. He still rushed towards her directly. Instant. I felt an unprecedented pressure. Fortunately, I haven't neglected my fitness in recent years. Quickly stabilized Su Qingyue in her arms. The latter is so soft all over. Especially when I hold onto Su Qingyu's slender waist with one hand. Surprisingly, I found some of my original feelings. I secretly felt a sense of nostalgia in my heart. Although, Su Qingyue is not the most attractive among my ex-girlfriends. But there is no doubt about it. Su Qingyue is the tallest among my 4 ex-girlfriends. And Mr. Su is also his mentor. Helped me transition from a boy. A good mentor for growing into a man. Especially Su Qingyue is a woman who is cold on the outside and hot on the inside. Walk back to the courtyard from the barbecue restaurant near the square. There is a distance of about 300 to 400 meters in the middle. But I struggled to walk hundreds of meters. Because of Su. After getting drunk, Qingyue couldn't walk at all. A pair of big white legs are incredibly soft. Especially when wearing high heels on their feet. The center of gravity becomes unstable when walking. Every step taken, I have to be on guard against Su Qingyue overwhelming me. Fortunately, I am a muscular man. I can't handle it with someone else. More than 10 minutes later, I finally helped Su Qingyue back to the courtyard. The courtyard has access control at night. After I flashed my face and opened the access control, then he helped Su Qingyue step by step up the stairs. Teacher Su is wearing high heels when going upstairs. Every step makes a crisp sound. Meanwhile, Shen Yuchu playing with his phone on the sofa in the living room. I immediately heard footsteps coming upstairs. And he can hear it. The sound of footsteps. The uniform footsteps made by Teacher Su as usual. Different, so Shen Yuchu stood up curiously. I put on my slippers and came to the window. Open a curtain and stare at the corner. Although his house is far apart. But the line of sight is just enough to see the corner of the balcony upstairs. In no time, Shen Yuchu saw Su Qingyue being helped upstairs by me. Under the illumination of warm yellow voice-controlled lights at the corner of the balcony. He clearly recognized that it was me and Su Qingyue. Seeing me hooked on Su Qingyue's waist with one hand. The intimate look between the two of them. Shen Yuchu was momentarily stunned there. Visible surge in the eyes. Turning around in disappointment. Angry, he sat back on the sofa. Stunted like a piece of wood. I don't know why. An inexplicable feeling of disappointment arose in my heart. Next, Shen Yuchu turned his head to look at the rabbit doll on the sofa. Seeing the cute smiling face of the doll, more angry. You bad rabbit, are you also laughing? I will beat you to death with all my might. Shen Yuchu picked up the rabbit doll he used to hold in his arms. Then he clenched the pink fist and delivered a blank punch. After getting tired, lying on the sofa panting heavily, chest. The ups and downs are also very obvious. Why should I be angry for a scumbag? I won't like him again. He took the initiative to break up with me back then. I don't care who he's with. Shen muttered softly to himself again. After saying this, just pick up the rabbit, doll, bear and go back to the room to sleep. And on the other side, I helped Teacher Sue to his doorstep as well. I was just about to retrieve the key from Teacher Sue's bag. I found that the door was opened by a little boy. I was instantly stunned. Why does Teacher Sue still have a little boy at home? Teacher Sue has become a mother. Why does it look a bit like me?